There are smartphones. And then there is Apple, a company whose products often cost hundreds, sometimes even thousands, of dollars more than the competition. Yet every year, millions of people willingly line up outside Apple stores, waiting for the latest iPhone, even when their current phone works perfectly fine. But why? Why would someone pay so much for a phone, a laptop, or a pair of wireless earbuds, when cheaper alternatives offer similar features? Is Apple really using better materials? Does it spend more on technology? Or is there something much bigger happening behind the scenes? Because the truth is, Apple isn't just selling electronics. It's selling trust, innovation, status, and one of the most powerful ecosystems ever created. Behind every iPhone, every MacBook, and every Apple Watch lies a carefully designed business strategy that has transformed Apple into one of the most valuable companies in history, a company worth trillions of dollars. In this documentary, we'll uncover the real reasons why Apple products cost so much. We'll explore the company's history, its marketing genius, its premium pricing strategy, its ecosystem, and the business decisions that convinced millions of people around the world to happily pay more year after year. So, how did Apple become the king of premium technology? Let's go back to a small garage in California, where two young dreamers started a company that would change the world forever. To understand why Apple products cost so much today, we first have to go back nearly 50 years to California in 1976. At the time, the personal computer industry barely existed. Computers were huge, expensive, and designed mainly for businesses, universities, and government organizations. Most people had never even touched one. But two young men believed that computers could become part of everyday life. Their names were Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak. The two friends shared a passion for technology, but they had very different personalities. Steve Wozniak was a brilliant engineer. He loved building computers, simply because he enjoyed solving complex problems. Steve Jobs, on the other hand, was a visionary. He wasn't just interested in how technology worked. He cared about how people experienced it. He believed technology should be simple, beautiful, and easy for everyone to use. Together, they started building computers inside the garage of Jobs' parents' house. It wasn't a fancy office. There were no billion-dollar investors, no massive factories, just two friends, working with limited resources, and an ambitious dream. Their first product, the Apple I, was introduced in 1976. Unlike today's computers, it was simply a circuit board. Customers still had to buy their own keyboard, monitor, and case. Only around 200 Apple I computers were ever produced. But it proved something important. There was a market for personal computers. A year later, Apple introduced the Apple II. This was the product that changed everything. Unlike the Apple I, it came fully assembled. It looked professional, and it was easy enough for ordinary people to use. Schools adopted it. Businesses bought it. Families brought it into their homes. Sales exploded. Within just a few years, Apple became one of the fastest-growing technology companies in America. But Steve Jobs wasn't satisfied. He wanted to build something even more revolutionary, a computer that anyone could use, without learning complicated commands. That dream became reality. In 1984, Apple introduced the Macintosh. The Macintosh featured a graphical user interface, windows, icons, and a mouse. Features that would completely change personal computing forever. The famous 1984 Super Bowl commercial didn't simply advertise a computer. It introduced a new philosophy. Apple wasn't competing on price. It was competing on innovation, design, and experience. That philosophy would eventually become the foundation of everything Apple sells today. Walk into almost any electronics store, and you'll notice something immediately. Apple products are usually the most expensive on the shelf. Whether it's an iPhone, a MacBook, an iPad, or even a pair of AirPods, Apple almost always charges more than its competitors. So, why are people willing to pay those higher prices? Is it simply because of the logo? Not quite. The answer lies in one of the most successful pricing strategies in business history. From the very beginning, Apple never wanted to be the cheapest. Instead, it wanted to become the most desirable. Most technology companies compete by lowering prices. Apple does the exact opposite. It positions its products as premium, because in business, price doesn't just represent cost. It also shapes perception. When people see a product with a higher price, many automatically assume it's better, higher quality, more reliable, more exclusive. Apple understands this psychology better than almost any company in the world. But high prices alone aren't enough. Customers also need a reason to believe the product is worth it. That's why Apple invests billions of dollars every year into research, engineering, software development, and product design. Every curve, every material, every animation, and every detail is carefully designed to create a premium experience. Apple also follows another unusual strategy. Instead of releasing dozens of phone models every year, it keeps its product lineup relatively small. This allows the company to focus its resources, improve quality, and create a clear identity for every product. Scarcity also plays an important role. When a new iPhone launches, supply is often limited during the first few weeks. Long waiting times and sold-out models create even greater demand. People begin to feel that owning the newest Apple product means owning something special. It's a psychological effect known as perceived exclusivity. Apple isn't simply selling technology. It's selling confidence, status, quality, and an experience that many customers believe is worth paying more for. That's why, even when competitors offer similar specifications at lower prices, millions of people still choose Apple because they're not only buying a device, they're buying the brand behind it. And that brand has become one of the most valuable assets in the world. But Apple's biggest advantage isn't just premium pricing. It's something that makes customers stay with Apple year after year. It's called the Apple ecosystem. Imagine buying a smartphone and discovering that it works perfectly with your laptop, your tablet, your smartwatch, your wireless earbuds, and even your television. That's exactly what Apple has built, a connected ecosystem where every product makes the others even more valuable. This is one of the biggest reasons why Apple products cost so much. Because when you buy an iPhone, you're not just buying a phone, you're entering an entire digital world. Take AirPods, for example. Open the case near an iPhone, and they connect almost instantly. No complicated setup, no confusing menus, just a simple experience. Now imagine owning a MacBook. Start writing an email on your iPhone and finish it on your Mac without losing a single word. Copy a photo on your iPad, paste it onto your MacBook, answer phone calls from your laptop, unlock your computer using your Apple Watch. Everything feels like one complete system. This seamless integration, this strategy creates something incredibly powerful. Instead of selling one product, Apple builds long-term relationships. Customers don't simply return every few years. They often stay for decades. That's why Apple's ecosystem has become one of the company's greatest competitive advantages. And it's one of the biggest reasons millions of people continue choosing Apple, even when cheaper alternatives exist. But building a powerful ecosystem is only part of Apple's success. The company also knows exactly how to make people want its products. And that's where Apple's marketing becomes truly extraordinary. When people think about Apple, they often think about beautiful products, clean lines, minimalist design, premium materials. But Apple isn't successful simply because its products look good. Its real advantage is the way it combines design, innovation, and marketing into one unforgettable experience. Steve Jobs once said, "Design is not just what it looks like and feels like. Design is how it works." That philosophy still shapes every Apple product today. Every button, every animation, every sound, every curve is carefully planned. Nothing feels random. Everything has a purpose. Apple also spends billions of dollars on research and development. Engineers work for years, perfecting products, long before customers ever see them. The company designs its own processors, known as Apple Silicon. Unlike many competitors, Apple controls both the hardware and the software. This allows its devices to work faster, use less power, and deliver a smoother experience. But building great products is only half the story. Apple also knows how to create excitement. Every product launch feels like a global event. Months before a new iPhone is announced, rumors begin to spread. Technology websites, YouTube creators, and millions of fans start discussing possible features. By launch day, the entire world is watching. Apple rarely needs to convince people to pay attention. Its customers do that for the company. Even Apple's advertising looks different. Instead of overwhelming people with technical specifications, Apple focuses on emotions, family moments, creativity, music, photography, productivity. The message isn't, buy this phone because it has more features. The message is, this product can improve your life. Apple stores follow the same philosophy. Bright lighting, minimalist interiors, products displayed like works of art. Customers are encouraged to touch, test, and experience every device. There is very little pressure to buy. Instead, Apple creates an environment where people naturally want its products. This combination of design, innovation, and emotional marketing has helped Apple build something incredibly valuable. Not just loyal customers, but passionate fans. People who proudly recommend Apple to friends and family. People who eagerly wait for every new product launch. And people who are willing to pay premium prices again and again. But despite all of this, Apple's biggest source of profit may surprise you, because the company doesn't just earn money from selling iPhones. It has built one of the most profitable service businesses in the world. When most people think about Apple, they think about the iPhone. After all, it's the company's most famous product. And every year, millions of new iPhones are sold around the world. But here's something surprising. Apple doesn't make all of its money from selling hardware alone. Over the past decade, the company has quietly built one of the most profitable service businesses in the world. It all begins with the App Store. Whenever someone purchases an app or pays for an in-app subscription, Apple earns a percentage of that transaction. Now imagine millions of developers serving billions of users every single day. Even small purchases add up to enormous amounts of revenue. Then there's iCloud. Millions of people rely on it to store photos, videos, documents, and device backups. Instead of paying once, can generate revenue for many years. This is known as customer lifetime value. Instead of focusing only on one-time sales, Apple focuses on building relationships that continue for decades. That's one of the biggest reasons why Apple has become one of the most profitable companies in history. But even the world's best products need to be manufactured. So how does Apple produce hundreds of millions of devices every year while maintaining such high quality? The answer lies in one of the most sophisticated supply chains ever created. Every year, Apple sells hundreds of millions of devices, from iPhones and MacBooks to Apple Watches and AirPods. But have you ever wondered how one company manages to manufacture and deliver so many premium products to customers across the world? The answer lies in one of the most advanced supply chains ever built. Interestingly, Apple doesn't own massive factories to manufacture its products. Instead, it works with specialized manufacturing partners that assemble Apple devices with incredibly high standards. Apple focuses on design, engineering, software, and quality control, while its manufacturing partners handle large-scale production. This allows Apple to stay flexible while investing more resources into innovation. But manufacturing is only the beginning. Every component inside an iPhone comes from different parts of the world. Advanced processors, camera sensors, memory chips, display technology, precision metals, rare earth materials. Thousands of individual parts must arrive at exactly the right place, at exactly the right time. If even one important component is delayed, production can slow down for millions of devices. That's why Apple spends years building relationships with suppliers around the world. The company constantly monitors quality, delivery schedules, and production efficiency. Every step is carefully planned. Once devices are assembled, they enter another massive operation: global logistics. Every day, cargo planes, container ships, and delivery trucks move Apple products across continents. Their destination: Apple stores, retail partners, and customers' homes. Speed matters, especially during a new product launch. Millions of customers expect their devices to arrive on time. A delay of just a few days can affect customer satisfaction and cost millions of dollars. That's why Apple invests heavily in supply chain planning, inventory management, and logistics technology. Behind every iPhone, isn't just brilliant engineering. It's years of planning, thousands of suppliers, millions of workers, and one of the most efficient logistics systems ever created. This invisible network is one of the biggest reasons why Apple continues to deliver premium products at a global scale. But even after decades of success, the story isn't over, because Apple is now preparing for the next generation of technology, and that future may be even more ambitious than anything the company has built before. When people look at Apple, they often see an expensive phone, an expensive laptop, or an expensive pair of earbuds. But after looking behind the scenes, it's clear that Apple isn't simply charging more for technology. It's charging for years of research, world-class design, powerful software, a seamless ecosystem, exceptional customer experience, and one of the strongest brands ever created. Every product is part of a much bigger strategy, a strategy designed not just to sell devices, but to build long-term relationships with millions of customers around the world. That's why people don't just buy an iPhone. They buy AirPods, an Apple Watch, a MacBook, iCloud storage, Apple Music, and many eventually upgrade again and again. This creates a business that keeps growing. Long after the first purchase, Apple proved something remarkable. In business, the cheapest product doesn't always win. Sometimes, the company that creates the best experience wins instead. And that's exactly what Apple has been doing for decades. Today, Apple is one of the most valuable companies in the world, not because it sells the most affordable products, but because it created something people trust, something people admire, and something millions are proud to own. The real reason Apple products cost so much isn't hidden inside the hardware. It's hidden inside the business model, the ecosystem, the innovation, and the emotional connection that Apple has built over nearly 50 years. That is the real story behind Apple's success.